This morning we're going to have a go at fitting the door seals on our project car. These seals here, and while we're at it we're also going to have a go at fitting these seals here and this little strip here. The cheapest place to get these various seals is from Euro. They do these seals here and also the door seals. Now we're putting a black interior in this car, and then they also do these little trims here which glue along the bottom. And I mentioned if you're a wholesaler you can get parts directly from Euro. If you're in the UK you can generally get Euro seals from the SL shop, and if you're in Europe, rockauto.com, although it's an American company, will ship to Euro. So our job today is to fit these door seals on here, here and here. It is worth mentioning that both these seals here are different for each door. They have a different part number, and same with the door seals as well, different for each door. Just before we start putting glue down, we're just going to thoroughly clean all surfaces with this stuff here, 7010 silicone remover. Make sure there's no grease there so that the glue has the best chance of adhering. You can see on this car here, the order of events is that this piece gets glued in first, and then this piece goes in afterwards and sits on top. So the part number from Euro parts for these little trim pieces here, 107 686 018 DPR. And these were horribly expensive when we got them for the other red car. I think they were about £90 and came from Latvia, so obviously it's much cheaper if you've got a black car. These pieces are symmetrical, but you need to make sure you glue them on the right way. This piece here goes towards the outside of the car, this piece towards the inside of the car, like so. Okay, and this piece is going to bend over, so when you're gluing you need to make sure you've got glue on this edge here. You also need to make sure you're basically going to be using contact adhesive, and you're effectively going to be rolling this on. Okay, now you need to make sure that as you do it that you actually get the thing to fit. Sometimes these are cut slightly too long and sometimes they're cut slightly too short. This particular one here is just about the right length, but we will have to pull it slightly just to stretch it at that end. And we're going to be using the Trimfix spray-on adhesive. We're going to use this for the rubber seals, for the under bonnet insulation, and also for all the carpets. So if you're doing a full restoration, you might as well order a box of 6 to 8 of these in one go, because what I found when I was doing the other restoration was that I would order 2 cans, run out, have to order some more, have to order some more. Just order a box of it, put it to one side and use it as you need it. We've masked off the back, the sides, not along here. We've left a few mils along the bottom here, and we should be ready to put the glue on there now. When you're using that contact adhesive, it's important that you spray both sides of the piece that you're going to stick together. It's pretty much instantaneously. That's tacky now, so we're just going to press that on to the car. Just going to start by sticking one corner in, making sure it's all the way to the edge. Got that piece in. Just make sure you get rid of any excess glue, just using a little plastic spatula or something like that. Make sure you press down all these bits firmly, especially here at the end where it's difficult to get glue in. And next up we're just going to glue this piece in here. When you come to fit this piece here in, you want to test fit it first and then mark off here where you don't want glue to go. Now, it takes quite a long time to mask off everything accurately, and the better you mask, the better return you'll get. A bit like a computer, rubbish in, you'll get rubbish out. Obviously, if you're not using a spray adhesive, you could use something like the 3M that we used for the boot seals, and then you wouldn't have to go through all of this rigmarole, or you could just paint on some Evo Stick contact adhesive. But we've always used the trim fix, and that works well, but it does mean you need to spend a little bit of time just masking off. Just before you start spraying, always do a little test spray first. Make sure that you get that spray pattern, because often that glue will dry in the nozzle. Before you start gluing, just take off all the masking tape. You don't want to glue rubber on top and then have to break the bond. It really helps if you use good quality masking tape as well. It comes off really easily. Make sure you tape up this lock so you don't get any glue in there, obviously. Now with this piece here, it's really important that you do not stretch it when you're sticking it in and bonding it in there, because if you do, you will find that it does not fit. So I almost would start at the bottom, pushing it in, so that you make sure that you're not gonna run into the problem of having too much seal. Okay, that's not perfect because I stretch it slightly here, so we haven't got a completely straight line, but I don't think you'll ever really notice that. Once you've fitted those two, it's a good idea to make sure the door still closes, which it does. Next up, we are going to fit the weather seal. Now this seal clips in all the way around here and all the way along the bottom, and is bonded in up here with a series of clips to help it stay down. And it's very important when you're doing this that you don't stretch the seal so that it doesn't fit. I'm going to start at the corner here and just do this first bit first, and then the bottom bit along there, because that's the easiest bit to stretch and to get wrong. There are various checkpoints along the way when you're doing this seal, and the first one is to make sure that you get this little cutout here lined up to that hole there, because when you come to put the outer door trims on, you're going to need to be able to pull that seal back and put the bolt on. Next up, I'm going to line this up, and then I'm going to work this piece of seal down here to this bit here, so that should just align up perfectly. Pretty much the first part of this seal done. We've just got the tricky part now of getting this all lined up. When you do the bottom part of the seal, start off in this corner here and make sure that that is seated first. Then work towards the middle, work from the corner towards the middle, just so you don't end up stretching the seal. This part of the seal you can usually just push in with your fingers. What you should be using is a plastic trim tool, which I don't happen to have, so I'm doing this carefully with a screwdriver. But if you do use a flat blade screwdriver, make sure that you do not chip the paint or put a hole in the seal. It's the first door I've ever done that isn't completely rusted out along the bottom, which makes life so much easier. Okay, you can see that that actually goes in remarkably easily, just using your thumb. When you come to do this top bit here, just make a note of how the seal actually fits. You might find it easier to take this trim piece off if it's not off already, but that flat piece fits on the other side of the glass, between the outer seal and the glass. It is quite fiddly getting this last bit in. You have to kind of tuck this flat bit under this trim piece without ripping or tearing it. And it, as I say, it is quite tricky. You're going to make sure this is tucked in all the way back there. Once you've tucked all of this end piece in to the best of your ability, it's just a matter of putting in the outer chrome, and the edge of that outer chrome will just sit over the corner like that. I'm not going to put that on just yet because we just need to clean up this piece of chrome, remove any bits of rust, and then polish the outside of it. Now, when you buy these seals, they do not come with the trim clips that fit in these holes here. Now, you can either use the old trim clips, which I'm not going to do, A, because they're really manky and probably aren't going to work that well, or you can get along and buy yourself a bag of new trim clips, and at the end of the video I'll just give you a link of where we got those from and how much they cost. They're not that expensive. And now this end bit of seal gets bonded onto here. So obviously every time you shut the door, it's going to want to move. And we're not going to use trim fix for that. Now we're going to be using the 3M weather strip gasket adhesive to bond the weather strip onto the door. Now it's very important when you do this to remember that it's a 3-step process. You put a thin layer on the seal, you put a thin layer on the metal of the door, and then you allow them to dry and get tacky, and then you put another thin layer either on the seal or on the door, and then you press them together. So it's a 3-step process. A lot of people just put one big globule on there, press it together, and are surprised when the seal doesn't stick. There are 20 of these trim clips, 10 on each side, and they just push in from that side. And the idea is you'll just bash them in with a little piece of wood once you've got the adhesive on. There's also a special little button fitting here as well, which I don't have, so I'll have to get one of those from Mercedes hopefully. It's a good idea to take that button fitting out before you fit all of this together, because getting that out is an absolute nightmare. It's really a one-way fitting. So there's a little black button fitting at the top there. What we're going to do is we're just going to roughly fit this, and then we're going to mask along the edge so that we don't get glue anywhere where we don't want it. You may notice that the holes here are oblong, so the clips go in this way like so. And then once you've put them in, you just twist them 90 degrees to stop them falling out. Now the thing about this 3M is you do not need a lot of it. What you want is a thin layer of it. A thin layer, so we're just using a spatula to make sure all the surfaces that we want covered are going to have a thin layer of glue. What you don't want is big fat globule and then press the two things together. That's not how this works. It's a contact adhesive. Put a thin layer on, let it get tacky, you press the two together, and that's it, job done. So similarly on here, make sure you spread the glue out all over the rubber. I'll do that off camera so I don't get glue everywhere. Thin layers on, you're just going to leave that to become tacky, and then you're going to press the two together and take that tape off. I'm going to start at the top. It would be good if I hadn't covered the holes up, of course. Once you're happy that that's stuck down properly, take off the tape. Take that off camera. And that's job done on the door seals. I'm pleased the way things have come out. All went to plan. It took just a morning to do that. We're just going to let that dry overnight before we close the doors, and then we'll come back at a later date and make up the door card, put that on, finish off the mirror, and that's the doors pretty much done. We got our trim clips from eBay from these guys here, ADL Components Limited, £11.99, and that's for 24. You actually only need 20, so just in case you lose any or break any, you have a few spares. We bought that trim fix in a pack of 6 a little while ago. It cost us £22.98 from these guys here on eBay, Vandermon UK. Those sill trims, the black ones, you can get them from Rock Auto, £52.46 up here. Now that is expensive, but not nearly as expensive as if you get onto eBay or some of the other suppliers, in my humble experience. I'm not sure that they do other colours. I've only ever seen the black ones, but that's where you can get them from. Do bear in mind that there's shipping and VAT, etc. associated with that price there. Those little weather strips that go by the door strike, you can get them from Rock Auto as well, £12.21 each plus VAT and shipping. Got the same things from the SL shop up here. Now they normally sell a premium version of the same thing, which is a slightly different rubber, and sometimes that can be hugely advantageous, but sometimes it doesn't really matter much, and in this case I don't think it matters much. You can see that they're considerably more expensive, but bear in mind that when you buy from Rock Auto, you will pay shipping, VAT, extra, etc. if you're in the UK. You can get these door weather seals from the SL shop. These are the Euro ones, I believe, £43.85 plus VAT each. Now they also sell the premium version, but you can see those are considerably more expensive, more than double the price. And here are those Euro weather strips from Rock Auto. £22.50, but as I say, before you get too excited thinking, oh, that's a bargain, bear in mind there is shipping, VAT, etc. on top of that.